Yes.
I like rainy days, you know why? Because there's no point being outside, which means you might as well be learning something. Alright, write this down. Linear equations, and you might already have, hopefully you do have something under this. Right? Do you have notes under linear equations?
Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. What is a linear equation? Well, if you break apart the words, it's an equation that gives you a line. Now, here is where you learn something. Right now, it's good for you to know there are two different types of linear equations. Congratulations to anybody who can tell me the one that we've already done. Wow, what is that called? Emily, can I help you with something? Were you and Cassandra talking about possible answers to my question? Were you talking about... Oh, congratulations. Were you asking her to keep notes for you?
No.
Well, I do have a clock.
5 minutes.
Just look at it. It would be almost the square root of 64 times before 10. What time do you have to leave? 10:40 or 9:40?
10:40.
Oh, you're getting awful close. It is 10:35, right?
Yeah, we want to go with that.
Now I've stopped. All right. Sophia gave me this one. I asked for the name of that. This is not a formula, this is an equation. What do we call that one? You already have that one in your notes. That is not what today is about, but it is getting to us what today is about. Madison said what that is? Yes, this is in slope intercept form. Any idea why it's called slope intercept?
It intercepts the slope.
No, it doesn't intercept the
It
slope.
intercepts the y.
Because this is the y-intercept, and this is the slope. See, those math people that thought of this, they were pretty ingenious that they'd say both slope and intercept because it's both the slope and intercept. Andrew, are you following this? Yeah. Good. So here's my equation. Y equals 3/5 x plus 4. Believe it or not, I think there's still an example over on the board there. We did that before. How did we graph this? Maya, what was the first step? Since we know where the y-intercept is, that's this, I put a mark at +4. That's my starting point. Is this something new? Well, we have done this before. Oh. And then what do we do from there, Lauren? Alright, up 3/5, or since I don't really have room to go up, I can go down 3/5. That's just the height. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got two choices, and the choice I am taking is going to be, Emily, before you go, you're going to answer this one question. Am I going to this side, or am I going to that side, and why? This or that? This or that? Why this?
Because
We usually call it, when it's not negative, Chase, we usually say it's, thank you, yes. I picked this one because it's a positive slope, so my line has to go uphill. Alright, so much, ladies and gentlemen, for what you already know. Zachary, now we learn what's new. But I thought it would be good to review that because they're kind of interrelated here. The second form of linear equations are what we call in, get this down, standard form. I don't know why it's called standard form. Maybe it was the first one and it was the standard before slope intercept, I don't know. The standard form of a linear equation is in this form. Ax plus by equals c. I'll give you a chance to let that sink in. before we get all crazy. Oh, you'll remember, going back, not to go beat a dead horse here, but you'll remember, to solve this one, when we originally saw linear equations in slope-intercept form, you actually made a table. You know, you got to guess your x numbers and you figured out the y numbers, right? Remember that? And you could do that in this form. Here, let's just pick a couple numbers. Let's say I have this, 2x plus 3y equals 6. It's not a bad equation, is it?
No.
You could, if you really, really, really wanted to challenge yourself, by the way, this will become a line just like that, is you could make a table and plot in all of your stuff there, and technically that's kind of what we're going to do. But to speed up the process, we do this. When you see a linear equation in standard form, we use what we call, here's the big, this is the key word, John, for the day. Key words are the x-intercept and the y-intercept. These are the key words for today. X, or we could have put it together and say, let's just find the x and y intercepts rather than saying it twice. Now, using knowledge that you already know, what do you suppose the x-intercept is? And what do you suppose the y-intercept is? Before you answer that, we already did the y-intercept here. And the y-intercept was, do you have to go, Emily, or are you mesmerized that you just want to stay for the rest of this? Or? No thanks. No, thanks for being polite. This one, the y-intercept was where it crossed the y-axis, which will still be the same thing here, where it crosses the y-axis. Guess what the x-intercept is? I know it's going to take a little thinking. I'm going to give you a little time. Don't answer anything rashly. Emily Anderson, what do you think the x-intercept is? Where it crosses what? The y-intercept crosses the y-axis. The x-intercept crosses the... Yeah, this is where it crosses the x-axis. Now we could stop right there and I could just set you free, but you would have no idea how to do this, so we'll actually explain what that means. Your question is this: how do I know? Where the line crosses the x and y axis? Somebody asked that.
How do I know where
How do I
the
know
line crosses the x and y axis?
How about everybody asks?
How do I know where the line crosses the y and x
No,
axis?
it's the x and y axis, not the y and x. One more time together.
How do I know where the line crosses the x and y axis?
Some of you were not participating. Sarah Grace, did you participate? That's a yes or no question. We will not proceed until Sarah Grace asks this question in a very loud, audible voice.
How do I know where the line crosses the y and the x and the y axis?
All right. Thank you, Sarah Grace, for asking. This is as easy as it is. Okay. Here you go. It's the same for each. It's just opposite for each. If you put 0 in for x, you find the, oh wait, sorry. For x and solve the equation. Comma, you find the y-intercept. I'm going to let you write that because I know I'm going way too fast. is 8th grade at right now?
Stone.
Oh, that's right, Mrs. Stone said. I'm giving her lots of homework. She said, give her lots of math homework to give you, in case you don't treat her right. Alright, so, before I tell you what that means, think about this. Let's see if you can figure this out. If you put 0 in for x and solve for the equation, you find the y-intercept. Guess what? If you put 0 in for y and solve, guess what you find? Somebody?
X.
You find the x-intercept. None of this will mean anything until we do it. And then you will all, if we still did the thing, you would definitely do it for this. I'm not saying that you have to, but it would be fun to relive that.
Before he goes this.
Now I need you to finish writing that because this is the part where I think you'll like it. But I've thought that before, much to my demise. Ready? Yes. Here's the deal. This is how short and sweet this will be, but I wanted you to write down what we're actually doing when we do this. If I put 0 in for x, so let's say this is my equation, and I put 0 in for x, what happens? 2 times 0 is nothing. It really goes away. So I kind of hold my hand over even though it's. And if I were to solve this now, if I know this simple equation, 3y equals 6, 3 times what number gives me 6? 2. What is that 2? That 2 is the y-intercept. That 2, when I covered up the x and solve, that 2 is where that line crosses the y-axis. If I put 0 in for y, 3 times y is nothing. I'm now left with 2x equals 6. If I solve that, I end up with 3. 2 times 3 is 6. That is the x-intercept, which means here at 1, 2, 3 is where it crosses the x-axis. You now have 2 points, and your line is now graphed. Boom. It's just that easy. Okay, again.
Shake it up, babe! Shake it up, babe!
Just like I remember. Thank you, Zach, for taking the lead here. So watch how easy this is. Let's say you have 5x plus 3y equals 15. And I ask you to graph it. That's part of the problem. You write that equation down. All you need to do is this. Cover up the x to find the y. The y-intercept is 5. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put a dot. Cover up the y, because 3 times 0, what you're doing is putting 0 in that. 5x equals 15. X is 3. And then there, 3. You got your line. Now, fortunately for you, pretty much all the time it's going to work out. But even if it didn't, you could still get relatively close enough. What if it was this? X plus 2y equals 4. Or no, let's go 5. And you were supposed to graph that using x, y intercepts. Because this is in what form? Standard form. Right? Standard form. If the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign, it's standard form. If it is this, y equals 2x plus 3, this is slope-intercept form. Ready? Standard slope-intercept. Standard slope-intercept. Slope-intercept. Standard. Standard slope-intercept. 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 Standard. Okay, got it? So if I'm graphing this, watch how this works. The x1 is easy. If I cover up y, x is obviously 5, right, Zach? So I can put my little dot at 5 where x is. But this, here's where the train falls off the tracks a little bit, but you can still figure this out. Cover up the x. If 2y equals 5, to figure that out, you're just dividing 5 by 2. Brian Diedrich, 5 divided by 2, cut 5 in half, it is what? 2.5. And you can get close enough. There's 1, 2, 3. 2.5 would fall exactly between 2 and 3. And you can kind of spitball and get it close like that. If you have to. It still would be. See, not so bad. I hope that's what they ask. Let me look and see what they ask.
How did you know that x is 5?
Because when I covered up, put 0 in for y, what am I left with? X. There's no numbers for that. Now, one thing you do have to watch out for, ladies and gentlemen, is positive and negative numbers. So watch this. Negative 2x plus y equals 6. This is where one must be careful. The y one's easy. If I put 0 in for x, my y-intercept is 6, obviously, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But here is something that's going to cause you great trouble. If I cover up the y, what do I have? Negative 2x equals 6. If this is a negative, if I take 6 and divide it by a negative 2, my answer is going to be negative 3. Why? Because negative 2 times negative 3 gives me a positive 6, which is what I have over there. So when you cross that off, if you see this, if one of the two are negative, then your answer is going to be negative, and you end up with a negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Did I do that the wrong way? What?
That's positive.
What? What are you talking about? Did I do something wrong, Zach? What's positive?
The 6.
Yeah, 6 is positive.
Wait,
Because this says there's no negatives there, right? When I cover that up? No negatives.
wasn't that be the 2 on the other side? 2 negatives equal to positive?
What 2 negatives? There are 2 negatives there.
Negative 2 times negative.
Negative 2 times a negative 3 would give me the positive 6 that I want.
Oh, okay.
You're going to make me do a whole bunch of negatives. What if it was negative x minus, minus 3y equals negative 12? How's that going for me? What am I going to get for that? Well, if I cover up the y, negative x equals negative 12. 2 negatives means my answer is going to be x is positive 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Cover up that. Negative 3y equals negative 12. Y is positive. Negative and negative. 2 negatives positive. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's your line. Are we making some sort of headway? Is progress being made? Let's look at, open your books, children. Open my books. Does anybody know Tanisha?
Tanisha.
You say Tanisha, I say Tanisha.
Tanisha.
Wait, you have to finish with let's call the whole thing off.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Tell me you know the song, don't you?
I don't know
You say
that.
tomato, I say tomato. You say
Tomato.
potato, I say potato. Thank you. Thank you, Connor. I'm sure I did. It's a class you should know. Look at letter E there in the practice where Tanisha is thinking of 2 numbers. Many of you I know spend a lot of time trying to think of 2 numbers. The sum of the numbers is 5. The lesser number is subtracted from the greater number. The result is 7. Graph the system. Have we talked about that? Of equations to find the 2 numbers. So here's the deal. Good old Tanisha. Wait, I say Tanisha.
Tanasha.
Oh, I didn't say Tanasha. Oh, did I?
You said Tanasha.
The sum of 2 numbers is 5. Think about this for just a second, will you? Sum of 2 numbers is 5. If I asked you to give me two numbers that add up to 5, Chase, you would say
2.5.
2.5.
2.
2 plus 3. But Cassandra would say 4 and 1. And Grace would say, let's get creative, shall we? Let's stick to whole numbers.
3 plus
3 plus 2. You're missing a few here.
1.
Andrew?
5 plus 0.
5 plus 0.
You're not
We're
wrong.
missing a whole bunch of numbers here. Madison?
Wait, never mind.
How about negative 6 plus 11? How about negative 15 plus 20? Those are all answers, right?
Yeah.
How do I know what two numbers Tanisha is thinking of? I don't know. But I do know the other thing. The other thing it said is that when she subtracts the smaller from the bigger, she gets 7. So, subtract, you get 7. Give me two numbers when you subtract them, Caleb, that you get 7. Please don't tell me 7 minus 0. 10 minus 3. She's fascinating. Did you say 14 minus
7.
14 minus 7.
12 minus 5.
12 minus 5. Now, let me tell you, Tanisha is thinking of the same number, so you have to come up with a pair of numbers that fits both categories. That's what I want you to do. Somebody, come on, quick, come. Kind of more? What number fits both categories? Do I have it up there? I don't have a 12 and a 5. Do I? Well, Lauren, I see you seem like you know what the answer is. Don't be so condescending to Connor. You don't know what it is. Aaron? Bivens? German? Purdue? You got nothing? Well, Emma Miller, that would lead you to say, well, how in the world can I find that out?
Well, how in the world can I find that out?
That is what we just did here. I'm going to make this small. We could have 2 aha moments today. If we know this. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. What we just learned there. Watch how we can figure this out. If I have 2 numbers, I don't know what they are, but they add up to 5. I can use variables for that. But they're 2 different numbers, so I can't use x plus x because that would be the same number. So I would go, okay, x plus y. One number plus the other number has to give me 5. I also know that one number minus the other one number gives me 7. So I could go x minus y equals 7. And guess what these both are?
0.
No, they're linear equations.
Sorry.
What form are these linear equations in?
Standard.
How can I solve standard forms?
Adding zeros.
When you solve standard forms, you say x, y intercepts. Say
X,
that.
Y,
Everybody, x, y
X,
intercepts.
Y, intercept.
So here we go. All of you who had no idea how to figure this out, what's my x, y intercepts for this? My x-intercept is, put 0 in for y, x equals 5. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put 0 in for x, y is
5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did I get that kind of close? Now, what does this line that I drew just stand for? That is all the answers that I could possibly have for this equation. Look, one of the answers I said was 5, 0. Look, there's 5, 0. Somebody said 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Somebody said 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's all the answers I get for this one. Well, if I can find all the answers for this one, those lines are going to cross somewhere. And the place where they cross is going to be the pair that matches both of those. So let's see. Now that I can tell you're very excited about this.
Yay.
If I put 0 in for y, what is x? And this one?
7.
7. So 5, 6, 7. There's my x-intercept. If I put 0 in for x, and here's where you have to be careful. Grace, what is y?
7.
Not 7. Because of this, it's a negative y, so it's 1 negative makes it Oh boy, do I have to go back to that again? Somebody, Chase, help me here. What is y? Negative 7. If one of these two is negative and you're finding x, y intercepts, the answer has to be. So here at y is negative 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, just barely made it. Guess what? This place right here, children, should be the answer to both. And I'm hoping that 6, comma, negative 1. 6 and negative 1 are my answers. Well, what is 6 plus negative 1? 5. What is 6 minus a negative 1?
7.
And those are 7.
Ooh. Shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby.
That was lackluster. Joseph.
What do you have to lose?
Wait, we're going to do one more. I'm going to make this one up in my head. But I need a pencil. This, your homework will depend on how many people, without conferring with their neighbors, can find the answer to this. You might have to have some sort of oh boy. Write this down. Well, I'll write it up here. Wait. Oh, is that right? All right, ready? Tell me two numbers when I add them together. When I add two numbers, I get 3, but when I subtract them, I get 9. Wait, no, negative 9, sorry. No, wait, let me look at my notes again. Which fell on the floor? Oh yeah, negative 9. Add 3, subtract, I get negative 9. Gosh, I hope that works. If it doesn't work, what will we do? It's done exactly like the last problem. Except there's some negatives and positives in there. Sounds like a game you could play with your friends. there an answer out there? Did you get an answer? Andrew, did you get an answer? Wait, maybe this should be positive 9. Would it help if it was positive 9? No. Wait, did it work?